spaghetti squash and pine nut cream. And then we'll create a savory sage loaf, and then a citrus cranberry loaf. And then if we have time, we'll jump into a dessert, my favorite carob mousse. And it might be a pie, I'm not sure. But first, let's jump into the mocktail. Before I go there, I just want to give you a few tips for preparing these dishes. I want to let you know that I use a lot of fresh food. I rarely use canned food, canned ingredients, unless it's an emergency. And what that means is, if you are using a tomato or potato or, I don't know, a pepper in New York or wherever you live, and I'm using a tomato here in North Carolina, the flavor pattern will be different. So this is why sometimes you'll see in the menu where I ask you to taste and adjust accordingly based on the texture you're looking for, the flavor you're looking for, because God has made so many wonderful, beautiful foods out there, and they don't all taste the same. If you want same exact tasting food, then you have to buy tomatoes in a can or a bottle. And I rarely use that. So you have to bond with your food. You have to know the texture you want looking for, and you have to know the flavors you're looking for. And I am not a sweet tooth person, so my level of sweetness may not be compared to your level of sweetness. So you want to adjust, even with salt as well. Taste and adjust it and make it yours. A recipe is just a guide. You take the recipe and you tweak it to what works for you. All right. So my goal at the end of this is that I want you to go away with options for creating healthy plant-based meals. And the menus that I am going to create, they're very versatile. You can create burgers with the meatloaf mixture. You can create different things with it. So just be creative, think outside the box. Don't be held down by a menu or a recipe. Go beyond and experiment. And that's what I did. I experimented with a lot of these things and came up with these recipes. Okay, so let's jump right in now. So now wait, let me jump my gloves on. I hope you're seeing the screen and you're hearing me well. So we're gonna do a little juicing first. We have a lot to cover. So if you have like lengthy questions, just write them down and I'll try to answer them at the end. So for this recipe here, this cran ginger cocktail, we are going to need some fresh cranberries, some apples, and some fresh ginger. Okay? And all of these, and the foundation of my recipes are always health and nourishment to your cells, right? You know that ginger is very healthy, it has digestive properties. It helps with digestion. Cranberry helps to clean the bladder, it's very high in antioxidants. And then apples, depending on which ones you use, I love to use green apples because green apples are filled with malic acid, very good for gallbladder stones and flushing the liver. So I use more apples, more green apples. Now, if you're using more green apples, then the drink will be more tarty. So if you want something more sweet, you can add more red apples. But I like tart. I'm always liking to do something cleansing. And also another thing I found out about ginger is that it has a proteolytic enzyme in here. And the proteolytic enzymes, they break down protein. So this is very good. This drink is very good to have maybe a half a cup before a meal to help with digestion of heavy protein rich foods. All right. So this is my juicer. It's a no-wok. It might be strange to a lot of you, but and this is how it works. I have to cut up the fruits and the vegetables. Okay, hope you can see. And then have the juicer will chop up the fruits and vegetables. And it would make a puree. And then once it makes the puree, then I have to squeeze it out on the other side. Now this juicer does not add any heat whatsoever to my juice. The other juicers out there will add heat and destroy the enzymes. So I'm going to put it on. So you see that how it makes it? Can bounce out two back at you. Throw my ginger in there. Throw some berries in here. And this is a great dish or juice to share with someone when they come over because you can get a little fancy with it and you guys can sip. Even if you have someone who doesn't know the health message, you can share this with them and they would love it. You may have to put more red apples so it will be sweeter. I put a few more green apples in there. Right. I'm gonna add a little bit more cranberries in here. We add one more apple in there, and then we will take a look and see how the juice comes out. I love apple juice, green apple juice. It's very cleansing and it's not too sweet. Um, if there's someone who's has like sugar problem or glucose issues, they want to try a juice, they can try using green apples and do it in moderation. Or if you can hear me over the blend of the juicer. Right? So I'm going to see if that's enough for my So with this juicer, you need to press the juice out now. So this is a little different. How many of you have seen a Norwalk before? Anyone has one? So here's what happens. It crushes it into a pulp. And what you do now, this is why the heat doesn't affect the enzymes in this juice because it's you're not using an agar or one of those fancy juices out there. You just fold it up like this and you put it here. It's on. Here comes the juice. Oops. And this clot is very, very dry. The pulp here is very dry. See how you can make like a cracker with it. See how dry it is? Some people feed it to their animals. And you can use any juicer that you like, but I just love using Norwalk juicer. This I don't know if you're familiar with the Gerson therapy. This is the juicer they use in the Gerson therapy for cancer patients. One more, and I should have enough juice to put in the glass. Very dry again, see? If you have a question now, I can take it on this particular recipe here.
Is that Granny Smith apples?
Yes, the green ones, yes.
Thank you.
It's the part that you put in the paper, the pulp to squeeze. Is that part of the Norwalk juicer?
Yes, you get the clogs with it.
Oh, okay. Not the cloth, that white machine that you're using.
This, which one?
No.
The clogs?
Yeah. Yes.
Yes, you get the fabric. You can buy them. Yeah, this you're talking about, right?
No, I'm talking about the thing that is pressing the juice.
This here?
Yes.
Oh yeah, this is the whole juicer.
Oh, okay. All
Yeah,
right.
everything comes in one.
Okay.
Yeah, so these you can make crackers. They're like paper now. You can make crackers with them if you wish to. All right, so I think we have enough. All right, so this is nice. You can chill it. You can put mint in here. It's a beautiful, healthy, cleansing juice.
One question, could I see the juicer? We're not seeing the white, the other part.
What are you not seeing? Sorry. The juicer?
The presser.
The presser.
I wanted to see what it looked. I cannot see what.
I can't take it out. It's like built in there, but I could try and bring it up. Hold on. Do you see it? You probably wouldn't see it. It goes up and down. It goes up and down. You see it going up? You see it kind of going up in the thing? Can you see it moving upwards? So it goes very slow.
Maybe if you move your screen over a little, we could see that.
Can't reach the screen is on the other side, but you see this spot right here. This is it here. It's gonna come back down. See it's coming down.
Yes, we're seeing it
Yeah.
moving. Yeah.
Pull it up a little bit. But this piece here is the presser. It goes up and down.
I think if you share the if you can spell the name of the juicer, we can Google it and see what it looks like.
On Norwalk, Norwalk.
Okay, thank you.
Norwalk, Norwalk, Norwalk juicer. If you're familiar with the Gerson program, that's what they use. All right, so this is a beautiful mocktail that you can share with family and friends. It's very healing. You can also make it in bulk, like maybe for a few days, keep it in the fridge. It may not be as powerful as the days go by, but it helps with digestion. I know in some countries, we cannot afford to buy digestive enzymes because they're very expensive. So you have to use what God has given you to help digest your food if you're having digestive problems. And ginger, as well as the cranberries, also will help you with your digestion. And also ginger is very good for diabetics too. There are studies showing that it can help reduce the sugar that's sitting in the blood. So they say food is medicine and medicine is food. All right, so any other questions on that particular dish?
Excuse me, good afternoon, good
Good
evening.
afternoon. Hello.
Should you only use organic apples or can you simply use ordinary apples and cleanse them with activated charcoal?
Well, my preference is for always buy organic. If you
Thank
can,
you.
if you can afford it.
Thanks, ma'am.
There's a website called Dirty Dozen. If you go EWG, environmentalworkinggroup.com. If you go there, they'll always tell you the foods that you should always eat organic and the ones you shouldn't. Like the 10 top foods or the top 10, 20, top 20 or the top 10. You can look there, but I always go for organic if I can. If I cannot afford or can't find, then I'll have to do the best that I can. I'll wash it with vinegar or baking soda, and then I'll have to use it. But I'm always for organically grown. It may not be certified organic because somebody, maybe your neighbor grew it on their tree, but as organic and clean as possible. Okay? Does that work? All right, so I'm gonna move this juicer so I can get more room on my countertop here. If you have questions, I'll try to answer them while I'm lifting it off.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm just stepping out the screen to move this off so we can get more room. All right. Have more room here. Okay, so our next recipe is, I'm going to jump down to the mousse so that we can get the mousse out of the way because I want to put it in the fridge to cold to firm up. Okay, is that okay? So the mousse is the last recipe on the list here. All the way down to the bottom. Now I had a problem finding avocados. You know what happens to avocados? You take them home, you think they're good, and then they're no good. So I had a real problem finding avocados, and I haven't cut these open yet. So I hope you guys, the avocados are good. Okay. So we'll start with making the crust first. So you're gonna get a pie, which I thought I was not going to do, but the stars have it that you're probably gonna get a pie. And we'll see how that comes out. Can you see? Okay. All right. So this is a hopefully our avocados play together well. All right, so for this recipe, the crust, we're gonna do a crust and then we'll make the filling and then we'll put and then we'll make the mousse and put it on top. This is not on your recipe sheet, so I just came up with this like a few minutes ago. Okay, so for the mousse itself, you would need some nut milk, a sweetener. I have dates here and I soak the dates in orange juice, some vanilla extract, avocado, and your carob. So for the mousse, I'll just put that there. So for the crust, I'm gonna use some soaked and dried walnuts. And then I'm gonna blend those walnuts with some coconut, dried coconut. And I'm also gonna blend it with some goji berries. I don't know if you know what goji berries are. They're a nice little fruit. They're very high in protein. You can probably use dried cranberries, dried raisins, anything like that. Okay, and just a pinch of salt to bring the flavors out. Hope you guys can see. I'm just gonna move this off here. All right, so first we start with the crust. So this is gonna be more or less of a raw dessert. One of my favorites. I love it. It's very versatile. You can have it for breakfast if you want it, or dinner if you want it. I am going to put in my goji berries first. These are not that sweet. They're mildly sweet. So I think diabetics can have this. Just drop on the sugar. Okay. I'm just gonna break it down a little bit because they're very dry. And then I'll add some water. You can, I'll take the volume off, so while I do this, of course, I can't, my finger can't do anything on.
We're not hearing the machine.
You're not? Okay, perfect. Just gonna break it down a little bit more. Actually, put a little bit of water in here, but adding some coconut, adding my walnuts, and a pinch of salt. The salt just, you don't have to add the salt, but it just brings out the flavor of it. And I'll put a little bit of vanilla extract in there. Oops. You want to break it down until it gets sticky, that when you put it in the, to make the crust, it will stick together. So it still needs to be broken down a little bit more because it's still not as sticky as I would like it to be. Very good. And this is all nature's candy, right? The Lord has given us things that we don't need to add sugar. Right? And I'm not using dates because I think everybody use dates and everything. So the Fuji, I think it needs to be a little bit more. But that the coconut in there will help to firm it up, and make it a bit more sliceable. All right. I think that's good. Okay, so now we're just going to put this in the. So I have a baking sheet here and I just lightly oiled it with coconut oil. And then I'm just gonna see if this is enough here. It may not be enough, but that's fine. Did not measure. It's beautiful. It's nice and bright, filled with antioxidants, omega-3 fatty acids from the walnuts, which is very good for your brain. And the if you look up goji berries, they're very high in protein for fruit. Okay. And you have naturally dried coconut fat. You don't have to put butter or grease into this. It's so pretty. I love the color. So all you need now is to try and spread it evenly out into the dish. So you have to spread it out evenly before you start packing it in, right? Now it depends on how high you want your crust. You can push it straight up to the edge of the dish. Or you could just do it halfway, whatever you want. But I'm gonna see if I can get it all the way up to the edge. And you wanna make sure you get it in position before you start packing it in. So I'm pushing it up here. It doesn't have to be too thick, pushing it up. See, just getting it up there. All right, so now I see where I want my crust. And then I'll start to move around. I'm still not packing it in yet, but I'm spinning the bowl and still kind of pushing it up, tinning it out. And then now we could start tightening it down, patting it in. So spin and press, spin and press, spin and press, spin and press, spin and press. And you can use your thumb here, the thumb, if you want a pattern on the crust. So while you're spinning and pressing, I know it's a lot of coordination. Spinning and pressing, and you're pushing down, so you get your thumb print in there. So, oops, here we go. Spin and press, spin and press, spin and press, spin and press, spin and press. It's okay if it crumbles up there a little bit, it's fine. You just spin and press, spin and press. Okay. All right, so now I got the edges in there. I could start to press down the middle. All right. And you could neaten it up if you want by making it compact here. All right. Okay, so this is the crust. Now I would put it in the fridge to kind of firm up a little bit. But since we don't have time for that, that's our crust. Okay. So I'll just set it aside for now. And then now we're going to use the same machine and create the mousse. I hope these avocados are good, otherwise we're in trouble. Okay. It's sort of kind of good. All right. Oh. Get a spoon right here. Avocado. Probably go with 2 avocados today because we're making the pie. Okay. See down. So avocados are very high in good healthy vitamin E. So a lot of people, a lot of diseases start at the cellular level. And why I say that and why I believe that is because our cells are the most basic unit of life, right? And if we're not nourishing our cells, then our cells create our tissues, and then our tissues will get sick if our cells are sick. And then because the tissues get sick, then our organs get sick because the foundation, which are the cells, are not healthy. And a cell requires many different things to be healthy, but one of the things that it requires to be healthy is healthy fat, good fats, because the cell's wall is created of phospholipids, healthy fat. You need to eat healthy fat that will make the cell wall flexible so your nutrients could go in and out. But if you're eating fats that are like cooked fats and saturated fats and oils and all these different kind of fried food and all that kind of stuff, what happens is the cell walls become stiff, and your nutrition cannot get into the cells. So this is why when you GLUT4 receptors, which is those receptors that take the glucose into the cell, when they are trying to come up and the cell wall is stiff, it cannot come out because it's not permeable, right? Because you're eating bad fats that's making those cell walls very hard. And this is why this also causes part of the problem with diabetes and glucose sitting in the blood, right? Because your walls are so stiff, the nutrients cannot get in there. Okay, so I have the healthy fat in here for the mousse. Now I'm gonna add in my sweetener, which is I have dates, and I soaked it in orange juice for more sweetness, of course. Right. And I'm gonna put that in there. Don't
Sorry, I
know.
missed that. How many avocados did you put?
I put 2.
Okay, thank you.
I'm doing a pie. I might need more. Who knows? I'm just gonna put that there for now because I don't like it too sweet. If you like it sweeter, you can. And I'm just gonna puree it out a little bit before we get into the remaining things. Oops, sorry.
Excuse, what sweetener did you just use? Was that honey?
No, it's dates, soaked dates in orange juice. You can soak it in water. You don't have to do orange juice, but I did the orange juice for it to be a lot more sweeter. Okay, I'm gonna add now the carob powder. And carob is a good substitute for chocolate because it doesn't have the caffeine to make you jittery. And it also tastes really good and it's very rich in minerals, very high in calcium. And I just love carob. And it's sweet naturally, so you don't have to put a lot of sweetener in here. Depending on your taste buds, it's naturally sweet. I hope I have enough. Okay. I didn't plan to do 2 avocados, and I'm just gonna put a little bit of coconut milk. And I naturally climbed the tree. I climbed the tree, picked the coconut, and then I break it myself, in case you were wondering. And a little bit of vanilla extract in there. And a pinch of salt. And I only add the salt. You don't have to add it. It helps to bring out, it complements sweetness. It brings the sweetness out in a dish. You don't have to add it if you don't want to. But that's what chefs do. They add salt to sugar. All right, it's very nice and creamy. I'm just gonna scrape it down. And you can taste this and adjust your flavors. Right, I'm giving you just the foundation and the idea. A little bit more carob here. I'm gonna add it in there. I'm sure it tastes good. I don't want to start eating because I would probably want to eat the rest of it. All right, so what I would do is if we had time, I would see how nice and creamy it is. Now you can make this in your blender as well, but the difference between the blender and the food processor is that the food processor, you don't add as much liquid and it's a lot more creamier. And you don't need liquid to turn the food processor, but with the blender, you need liquid in there to turn the blender. So you'll find if you use your blender, your mousse will be more watery because you have to keep adding liquid to, to turn it. So this is very creamy. I don't know if you see that. Very fluffy and creamy, see? And it's a healthy fat added to this mousse and the ingredients are simple. How many ingredients did I add? And the coconut milk is optional. You can make it with water, but I think being from the island, we grew up eating coconut in every single thing. And it gives it a very nice flavor. Okay, so let's put together a pie. So this is gonna be I'm gonna give you my secret pie. We're gonna fill it with bananas. And then put the mousse over there. What do you think about that? So we'll just put my bananas. So we're gonna cut the bananas on a diagonal, if you can see that. So I'm just going to, don't want to be messy. So we're just keeping it together, cut it on a diagonal. Because if you cut it on a diagonal, it would go, it would cover more area. So then you pick it up on a diagonal, then you put it in here and then you spread it like that. Okay, hope we have enough banana for this. And my goal here is to cover the whole thing with bananas. Don't know if we're gonna have enough, but you see my idea. So it's gonna be a banana mousse pie. And I have nobody here to eat it with me, so I'm eating mousse all week. You live close by, you can come over. All right. So again, we're just gonna cut these on a diagonal. It helps to cover more space in the pie. All right. Any questions while I'm chopping? Okay.
Is there not a fruit that would substitute for banana?
Yes, but any fruit you want. You can put strawberry. You can put whatever you want, whatever fruit you want in here. Whatever fruit you think will go well with your carob mousse.
Could we see what you're doing? We're not seeing it.
Yeah, out there, sorry. I'm spreading the banana in here now. You seeing it? Can you see, my dear, my sister?
No, if you lift and tilt the bowl a little bit, you can, there you go, much better.
So I'm cutting it on a diagonal and just lining it up, lifting it up and just resting it right in there. So I may not have enough bananas to cover here, but you see the idea. So I'll make a circle until I get there in the middle.
Is there anything we can use instead of avocados for the mousse?
Yes, I think maybe papaya might be okay. That's thick and gooey. You could probably even use bananas if you like bananas.
Okay, great, thanks.
Put in there. I'm thinking again, what else you have beside avocados? I think those will do fine. Okay.
Have you ever worked with cacao butter? Is that a good fat?
Yes, I've used cacao butter, but it's a lot of fat. You can use it in desserts. We use it in a lot of raw desserts. I'm just gonna move this on the side so I can cut better. It's the fat from the cacao bean in it. I don't use it a lot. For like if I do catering and I have to make something look amazingly structured, yes. But in my day-to-day eating, I don't. Try to get whole fats. Whole, like nuts and seeds. Avocado is a whole fat. Chia, flaxseed. Cacao butter is extracted. Okay. And I take this, rest it in here. Bring it back
Thank
here.
you.
You're welcome. Oh, I think it might work. So now you fill this up on your diagonal. Okay. Perfect here. All right. So this is our pie. You can put blueberries in here, strawberries. Anything that would taste good with mousse. All right, so that's the inner part of the pie, right? We're just pulling it up like that. And then now we just dump our mousse on top of there. I like to do a layer that I pack in first to kind of give it body to hold. You know, like kind of rubbing that in there.
Looks yummy.
Yeah, so you're packing in the first layer because you want it to hold together, right? So you kind of press it in the mousse in there for the first layer. Okay. So that's the first layer. So you just want to make sure you pack in all the spaces because when you cut it, you want it to hold. Okay. So, all right, so that's your first layer. Now, if you wanted to do a second layer of bananas, you can, but I think that's enough. But some people love bananas, so all right. All right, so now the top layer now. So I will probably put this in the fridge to set and film up, and then I'll do a clean layer on top. You know, like if you do cakes, you have that crumb layer. And then you put the clean layer on top of it, like this. And because you're using bananas in this, your mousse doesn't have to be overly sweet because the bananas would carry that natural sweet flavor, especially, and then your carob is also sweet. So you can adjust your sweetness based on what you're going to do with your recipe. Okay. Get all of it because it's all good. All right. I have to use this for something else, so I have to clean it out. All right, so there you go. So just take this out now and you're just going to, I'll clean up my dish. And then you could decorate this however you like. Where is my decorate this however you like.
So we would let it set in the fridge for how long? And then we decorate it? Is that what we do?
I would decorate it first, depending how, if your batter eventually comes out like very liquidy, you let it set a little bit, but this is really thick, so I don't have to do that. I can decorate it. No, but it would be nice to firm up the mousse in the fridge too a little bit. Also, before you spread it, it will be nice and fluffy. Okay. Right. So now I have a few things here to decorate. I have some fresh coconut that I can just sprinkle on here. I'll just do a center of X piece, and I have some fresh pecans that I can drop in here. So when you slice it, everybody should get a little bit of the decoration in there. And then if you want, you can put berries along the edges, or you can just nestle the berries in here. These are raspberries. So we just put some in here. Okay, and I love to put mint on my dessert. So I have some mint as well. Mint helps with digestion. You can take it all of it. I want to. So if you're seeing, are you seeing? And if you're saying I didn't wash the plant, I did wash the plant before I pulled the leaves. All right, and here's your beautiful pie. See it? So this is your mousse, banana mousse pie. Any questions? Any questions? No? Okay. All right, what's next on my list?
The question.
Which one now? Okay, back to the top now. I don't think my gloves allow me to scroll. All right, so, oops. I lost my recipe. Okay, sweet potato bruschetta. This is a really easy one. All right, for this recipe, we'll need some sweet potato, the topping, and I have hummus as my choice of topping, my sweet potato. We have some garnish of microgreens garnish, some olive garnish, and some tomatoes that we're gonna use for garnishing as well. All right. So I love this because it's so easy. It's a nice, I guess, appetizer when you have guests come over. You want to get the potato this size, and I peeled it beforehand for you. About this side, and you want to cut the potato diagonally, right? And I love potato because you get the feeling of fat in a meal without added fat. Now, the potato has a very uneven edge, but you want to be careful so you don't cut your hand. So what you could probably do, maybe just kind of flatten one side so it will get stabilized to cut it if you're not used to cutting things, right? Or you can cut a groove in here first and then just set your knife in there and just press, and then you don't need that piece. But you want to do like a 1/4 inch thick slices and cut them on diagonals. So you see, you want to get them as thick as this. That's one. You want to cut your hand. 2. And we'll just stop at 3 for now. Just press into there and you keep going, right? And if you have about 2 or 3 of these potatoes, this is a great appetizer. Very simple, very easy. Now, I like to keep mine, I don't put anything on it. I just bake them in the oven and then I flip them over, let the next side bake. Now, if you feel as though you want seasoning, you can add some garlic pepper, garlic salt, some coconut oil or whatever here. And then you bake them in your oven at 350 degrees for 15 to 20 minutes. Don't let them burn. So you have to keep an eye on it, right? So once they bake, they will look like that. They'll be very soft and pliable, and they'll come out like that, like these, right? Don't burn them. So very quick holiday appetizer, very healthy. Sweet potatoes are anti-inflammatory, high in probiotic and prebiotic fibers. So now I'm just plating it so that you can see. I have lettuce leaves here, and they're very great for entertaining. And the top of my table isn't showing, so I'll do it right here. Okay. So you can put any type of topping. I have hummus, right? You can use guacamole. You can use some vegan cheese. So all you need to do is to do this there. And then rest it on top there. Let's take a second one here. It's very simple. Over there. Very simple. And I have this here. Okay. So, and you don't need the lettuce. I'm just presenting it here to you. Okay. Can you guys see? I don't know. Are you seeing?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, so now I just want to make it all fancy, fancy, fancy. So I have olives that I chopped up. So I'm just gonna drop a few in there. Wherever it falls, it falls. Few olives, few olives. Okay. Then just drop a few in the dish to make it look pretty. Also I can also do some tomatoes. So you're just gonna get these tomatoes and just cut them on the slice. Slice them, sorry, cut them on the slice. Slice them. And you can just drop a few tomatoes on here. All right. A lot of tomato. Right here. Okay. And then all you need is some microgreens. These are radish microgreens, and you put some on top of here. Oops. Put some here. And you can drop a few in the plate. Make it look pretty. All right. You know, people eat with their eyes. The first thing they don't say vegan food, they're thinking you're gonna give them a salad. Or the food is not gonna look nice and healthy or taste healthy. So here is a simple, easy appetizer, sweet potato bruschettas. Usually you use bread. You will use bread, and some people are allergic to wheat. So the sweet potato is a nice substitute, and it's healthy, has all your vitamin A, great for your eye, prebiotics, fiber, and it's very filling and nourishing. All right, so that's your dish number 2, 3. Any questions on that one? Any questions? Okay. All right, my favorite, not a favorite of mine, is creamy red pepper tomato soup. So, all right, for that recipe, you would need tomatoes and peppers, of course, organic. Here, look to yes.
How many tomatoes do you put on it?
How many tomatoes I'm going to use here, or how many tomatoes I put on the last recipe?
How many tomatoes you put on the last recipe?
Oh, the last recipe, I just took 2 tomatoes and I sliced them really thin because they're those small grape tomatoes. And I sliced them really thin and I just put them on there. 2 tomatoes for garnishing.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so for this recipe, you need a bell pepper, about medium size, and 2 medium tomatoes. I have a 2 heirloom tomatoes, but it could be Roma tomatoes, and this is the red pepper. You need something to make the soup creamy. I have pine nut cream here that I made pre-hand. It's just water and the nuts. You can add garlic or whatever you want, but just you need it to be thick. And then fresh basil from my garden. I'm very happy to be picking basil at this time. And a little salt if you want salt. And I did some roasted and fresh garlic. So I realize you're not seeing the top of my screen. So I'm just gonna bring it closer down here. And you can add lemon depending on how tart the tomatoes are. If it's tart, then you may not need to add the lemon. But I like a little lemon if it's, some people add a date if the tomatoes are too tarty or sour tasting. All right, so let's so with this recipe, you can cook this recipe on a slow heat after I blend it up. I like to use my blender, it's quick and easy, but I like it to be chunky. So I'm gonna do half the recipe, half the tomatoes, half the peppers, blend it to a paste or liquefy it. So let's try that now. All right. Use a blender, and I want my blender, so I need to pick up. I don't know how much time I have. I hope somebody's checking the time. All right, so we're gonna use the blender now. All right, so we're gonna start off with making a base for the soup. So the base will be the liquid. So instead of adding water to the soup, you're gonna make the food create that liquid base for it. So we'll remove the inside of the peppers. You can dry them out for your garden next summer. Okay, so I'm gonna put keep this half to create texture. I'm just going to cut this up, rough chop it, rough chop it. And then I'm going to do half of the tomatoes. I'm using seeds and everything. This is an heirloom tomato, which is a I guess it's all the season. All right, somebody saying something? All right, some rough chopped the tomato as well.
I'm tapping to close the thing when I tap it in.
Somebody's speaking. And I'm gonna add all my garlic because I want the garlic to be blended up smooth. I roasted 2 of the garlic and I kept 2 fresh because I love fresh garlic. Okay. All right. I'm not gonna put the basil just as yet. I'm gonna put a little salt in there. Not much. And I'm just gonna blend this up and see how much liquid I get. Remember I said some tomatoes might have more liquid than others, so you gotta pay attention to that. So it's pure liquid, right? So that's the base of this soup. Pure liquid, see? So now I want to add my chunkiness. First, I want to taste it and make sure I like how the base tastes. If the base is sweet, tell me salty enough, or if I need anything else in there. I just want to just do a quick taste test on it. Okay, it has enough salt. So I'm okay with that. Now I'm gonna add the chunkiness in here. Sorry. I'm gonna add the pine nut cream first to make it nice and thick. You just want it to get thick. Right. Now, when you put this on the stove and let it kind of cook in a low heat, it would thicken up a little bit more. So now I'm gonna add the chunkiness to the soup. Because I don't want to just swallow soup, I want to chew it so that you can activate your digestive enzymes. So always make sure your soups are chunky so that you can activate your digestive enzymes. And this is a really nice soup because it's high in antioxidants, high in lycopene. Men, if you're listening, you need this for making sure that everything is healthy and working as you need it. Right. All right. And also lycopene, it helps to lower your bad cholesterol and raise your good one. So I'm pulsing this because I want it to be chunky. Okay. All right, I think that's enough for me. And then now I want to add my basil. And again, if you blend the basil in, your soup will become green. You don't want a green soup. You just want to blend the basil in there. So I got this from my garden today. I washed it out, of course. And I love lots of basil, lots and lots of basil. So I would put a lot of basil in here. You put as much as you want. Basil helps with digestion, and a lot of people have problems with digestion. And as you get older, you find that your digestive ability weakens if you don't take care of it. So this helps with digestion. All right, so let's see how much basil we can put in there. And then we just pulse it. Okay. And that's your soup. And then you can, so now let's put it all together. And again, if you want to put the lemon in there, you can. All right. So a couple ways to plate your soup. You can put it in a nice regular bowl. Or you can put it in a bread bowl. And I was supposed to warm the bread bowl, but I didn't. So have you heard of a bread bowl before? And this is where you can warm the bread bowl and put your soup in here. So you'll just cut it. And you go around in a diagonal. I made it a few days ago. was supposed to warm it and I didn't. Anyways, you take out the inside and what you do is just pull out the inside of it to make a bowl. And then, right. And you have a little bowl in here. See that? And now you can fill that up with your soup and you can serve that. Or you can put it in a nice little bowl and enjoy it. So when you're done, you put this on a low heat so that it would warm up and cook. But we're not heating it up today because just for time's sake. And you put this in here. So it's still chunky. All right. And then I would sprinkle it with some pumpkin seeds. And then I'll add a little bit of garnish here. And that is, so you can put a little bit of sesame seeds in there if you want as well. Add a little bit more protein. And that is your creamy red pepper bell soup. And then the remainder, you can put it in a cup if you wanted to do that as well. Same thing. And then you serve your soup over there. Extra pumpkin seeds for protein. You garnish. So, I wish you can see this. If I turn it on the side, you can't see it. But this is your soup bowl. Can you see it? I didn't log in with my phone, otherwise I'll show it to you. This is the soup in here
Yeah,
with.
see it. We can see.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so that's your creamy soup. Any questions on that one so far?
Would you add a little bit of ginger to that?
Yeah, you can do whatever you want to makes you. Remember I said the recipes are all guided, your guide. So you can, if you want to add ginger to it, you can, yep. But remember, you have two strong ingredients, right? Basil and ginger, so they might compete. But you could add ginger if you want. Just depends on what flavor you are looking for. All right. What's the next one?
I'm sorry, you said the pine nut cream is just pineapple and water?
Yes, you can flavor it up with if you want. You can add garlic in there. You can add lemon juice.
Did you toast the pine nuts first or just raw?
No, I didn't. You can toast it if you want. I don't like toasting high fat nuts because you're destroying the fat. But if that's what you like, then you can do that.
Would walnuts work as a substitute for the pine nuts?
Yeah, you can make a walnut milk. And it will be high in omega-3s. And it'll be a very healthy soup. And just gently heat it. You don't want to boil it to destroy all the nutrients in there.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Any other questions? All right, so I'm just gonna clean out this blender thing here. Oops, what happened? My blender decided it's not working today. Oh. Righty. Gonna rinse this out for the other recipe. All right. Okay, what's next on my list? All right, so now we're gonna do a baked spaghetti squash with a pine nut cream sauce. And for this pine nut cream sauce, we're gonna make it more flavorful. So So we're gonna use a little bit of bell pepper in here, some garlic, some lemon juice. Okay. So for this recipe, you need some about pine nuts, fresh pine nuts, raw pine nuts. Orange bell pepper for the cream to make it more, give it some more flavor. And I'm also going to add roasted garlic and fresh garlic together to give it flavor, and some lemon juice to give it some flavor. And for the spaghetti itself, you need a squash, which I'm going to put there. Right. I'm adding some salt here. All right. This is another very quick and easy recipe. I know for the holidays, we don't want to stay in the kitchen that long making all, I know I don't like to stay in the kitchen that long making food. So, so what you'll usually do, you'll get a squash, which is another piece of this all together, but I'm going to make magic in a minute. And you cut the squash in half, right? And once you cut the squash in half, you'll see all the beautiful seeds. You can remove all the seeds now, or you can remove it after the squash is baked. But when you cut it in half, you want to put it this way down in your baking sheet. And then you want to poke some holes, because what will happen is sometimes it swells up and it could explode in the oven. So you want to poke some holes in here. Right. Okay. And all you do is to pop this in the oven for at 400 degrees for 35 minutes. Let it bake. And then once it's done baking and you want to test it to see that it's actually ready, I'm just gonna pop it in the oven right here. So after 45 minutes, voila, it's baked. And now you want to test it and make sure it's really baked. You open it up and then you use your fork. It should show a lot of the strings. You should see it stringing up. I think it baked a little bit too much for me here, but you should see the spaghetti coming along there. Okay, so now I'm gonna set this aside and make my cream for a minute. So we're just gonna dump in here the pine nut. I'm gonna take maybe half a pepper. Take the seeds out. I'm gonna rough chop it, rough chop the pepper. Oops. You didn't take the sticker off. Rough chop the pepper. I'm gonna add some garlic in there. Some big garlic. These are roasted garlic and some fresh garlic as well. Some salt. Some lemon juice. Okay. We may need more lemon, but you taste it. I like mine to be a little tangy, so we may need to put a bit more lemon in there. As it blends, we want it nice and thick, right? So I'm not gonna add the water as yet. I'm just gonna make sure it gets nice and thick and creamy before I add the water. Okay. That looks nice and creamy to me. Do you see the sauce? See how nice and thick it is? Okay. I was trying to go for, I think it's just still more tomatoes down in there. Pepper, sorry. So I haven't added any oils in my food as yet, and a lot of people think you have to cook with oils. You don't have to. Lord has given you enough fat in food that you can use. If you have to do something with oil, like fry something, you have to question, why do I have to fry something? That's just not natural. Okay? All right. So now I'm going to plate my my zucchini noodles, but before I do that, I'm going to scrape it out into this bowl. Here. Scrape it out right here. No, I think my stove might have either cooked it too much or I wanted mine a little bit more stringier, but hey. Do you see the strings? I don't know if you have had
Yes, can see it.
before. Now you can toss this up in some you can either toss it up in the cream or you can do different things with it. You can use basil, but for the garnish, I have more pine nuts, parsley, olives, and some tomatoes, dried tomatoes. Okay. So I'm just gonna, oops, before I put it in there. So I'm gonna, you can do plate however you want, but this is what I'm going to plate it with. Can you see what I'm doing? So I'm putting the sauce underneath the spaghetti, well, on top of the spaghetti, which everybody does. Right? And if you put like something green, or I try to do orange here, but I don't know if you're seeing it. Just for a little contrast. And where is my spoon? Let's use this spoon here. And I'm just gonna pattern it, like do this kind of thing here. You know the $20 recipe you get in the restaurants. They do all this fancy stuff. Okay, just some peppers that didn't get blended. It's fine. So I can actually start garnishing. I could start sprinkling this in here. I could sprinkle some olives here. Okay. Perfect. I guess I could use my hand here now. And then you just push this on. Don't let the spaghetti cook too long because it may be too mushy. Can you see the contrast? I hope you can.
How long did you cook your squash for?
About, I think 40 minutes or 45 minutes, but I had it sitting, I didn't use it one time. It was sitting out. Like it made like upside it down for a while yesterday. Some decorations here. Some more. Some pine nuts. I would have wanted it to be a little bit more firmer. And then we have some, I dried out my tomatoes in the dehydrator, but you don't have to, but I want it to be a little dry. My tomatoes. And then and then you can just garnish it with some more dried tomatoes. That's your squash dinner. So the flavor is underneath there. So as you pull your spaghetti in there, you pick up the sauce, and there's tomatoes and there's olives and pine nuts. So you should be filled. It's not just a bland spaghetti. You can use basil instead of parsley. I use parsley. Any questions on this one?
What kind of squash is that?
Spaghetti squash. When you bake it, it just strings like spaghetti.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
Have you heard of it before?
I never had it, no.
Oh, quick and
I
easy.
will try it.
Hmm?
Say it again?
It's quick and easy to make it, you just pop it in the oven and it bakes.
Yeah, it looks delicious.
Thank you, ma'am. Praise the Lord. All right. Any more questions on this particular dish? All right. 2 more to go. I don't know what the time is. We're gonna have to skip a few pieces if I don't have enough time. All right, so now we're gonna make our savory loaf, sage loaf. And this loaf is very high in protein. It's one of my dishes that I absolutely love. All right. There we go. So this dish has a lot of moving parts, but it's very nutritious. I absolutely love it. Again, you could make it your own. I didn't put pepper in there, but I love a little kick, some canned pepper. You can add that. So you would need for this dish lentils, cooked lentils. I want you to leave it a bit grainy, cook it dry. And I like to season the loaf at every level. So when I'm cooking the lentils, and I'm not adding any extra water to it, I'm letting it steam on the stove with some garlic, sage, what else I put in here? Some smoke, liquid smoke, some chili powder, and some cumin. And I just let it steam on the stove with the garlic and just not too soft. You want to keep it grainy. And lentils are very high in protein and very high in fiber. And then you need your omega-3 fatty acids from your walnuts. And I did add a few Brazil nuts in there. Who could tell me what's in Brazil nuts?
Silica.
Selenium.
Selenium. So I added a few of those in there. So you can mix and match your nuts to get more nutrition into your food. And then your binder would be your ground flaxseed. And I love this. Now, I think in the recipe I gave you, I said brown rice. In my recipe here, I'm using black wild rice. And the way I cooked it, though, this is what do you call it back in the island? A tilmas or something like that. But what I did was I put 3/4 cups of rice in here with boiling hot water, covered it, and I went to bed. And in the morning, I'll show you what happened here now. Dump it out. So this is the first time I'm dumping it out since I put it in there. It's still warm from since yesterday. And you see how it cooks and the rice is so soft and spongy. Now, if I had to cook this on the stove, I'll be still cooking it because it takes so long to cook. But just letting it sit in that water overnight, it's very spongy. You can saute this with veggies if you wanted. You can do whatever you want with this now. And the rice keeps coming. Here we go. So,
Someone put in the chat, where do you get the recipes from that you mentioned? Is there a website or something?
recipe. The ones I'm using,
Yes.
it came from me. I made them up.
So is there a sheet?
Or do they need a copy of the recipes? That's what they're trying to ask?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I think the hosts will be able to send it out. They did send them out. when they send out the invite. So I mean, the host could send it to you. If you send me your information, I can send you a copy. Okay, so this is the rice after sitting overnight, how it's nice and spongy and it's not overcooked, it's soft. But I'll tell you, if you try to boil this on the stove, you'll be boiling it forever and it'll be still hard. All right,
So,
so
Chef, how much rice and how much hot water, please?
this 3 cups of black rice, and I just filled the thermostat with water. I don't know, maybe a cup or so. Just enough to cover it. A little over because you don't want to make it too soggy. But you can always strain out the excess water with strain. So if you go too much, that's fine. Okay. And black rice is very nutritious for you, right? High in fiber. It's not like hybridized like the rice and that we have today out there on the shelf. High in fiber, high in minerals, and it's a lot better than, and it's not as starchy. Okay, so we need the lentils, we need the walnuts, we need a binder, and we have the black rice. Okay, and then now we need some beets, and the beets is really just to give it that nice red color, like a pinky texture. And of course, we'll add some minerals to the recipe. And then I have liquid smoke to make if you want it more smoky. It's optional. You don't have to do that. I have onions to give it more texture. Some herbs. I have fresh sage, cilantro. I love cilantro and everything. Some salt if you need some salt. And here are some more spices. Cumin. I have some sage powder, like powdered sage. And then I have, what do you call it? Smoked paprika, right? And I have some peppers and we have some celery, chopped up celery. All right, and this is my barbecue sauce that I made. Okay, so I'm just gonna take these off. And we will get started. All right. So for this recipe, I do need my food processor. So I need to just rinse out that. I need to rinse out my guys, if you give me 1 second, let me just rinse off the mousse of the food processor. That's write your questions down. I'll get to them in just 1 second. So be right back.
Hello, the person who asked about the recipes, they're in the group chat.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
All right. Thank you for that pause. And I just did a quick rinse on it. I'm gonna switch out and get the food processor in here. Okay. Hasn't been watched 100%, but it's okay. I am the only person eating it, so the mousse in my loaf would not hurt me. Right. All right, so we're gonna start by breaking down the ingredients for the loaf. Now, I like the loaf a little chunky. It's up to you. If you want to make yours all smooth, you can. But I prefer my loaf to be a little chunky. Okay. All right, so let's start with breaking down the rice. Black rice. See the black rice? It's spongy. I know a lot of you use oats for your loaves, but the rice will act similar to how you think the oat works. I think this is a lot of rice for 3 pounds. I probably use it. Alrighty. Okay, so you don't want it, I don't want it smooth, so I'm gonna pulse it. That is my break it down a little bit more. All of it gets broken down. I think this is actually pretty good. I'm just gonna dump it in here. So it's still a little chunky, but it's a little bit more sticky because I broke it down a little bit. And you want to try not to have too much liquid going into the loaf, otherwise it would fall apart. Okay. So that is like a kind of gel by itself. It's kind of gooey. But it's still chunky. All right. The next thing I'm going to break down would be my walnuts. My nuts. Put that in there. You want to pop it? Okay. So you see, I still left a little texture in the in here, but I broke it down. It's a little crumbly still. And I washed my walnuts, and you want to dry them off. I soak them, I rinse them, and I dry them with a paper towel to take as much liquid as you want off of it. And I also remove the enzyme inhibitors by soaking them, because those enzyme inhibitors that are on raw nuts and seeds prevent absorption of the nutrients. To remove that phlegm on there so that I can get all the omega-3s, all the protein and everything else that it has in there. Now I'm going to break down my lentils. And my lentils, I have some garlic in there too. So we're going to break that down. All right, I want to break it down too much. Okay, I think this is good. One more trip around the block here. Okay. So it's still chunky, it's dry because I just steamed it on the stove. And I actually sprouted my lentils before I steamed them with the seasoning and the spices. So it's sprouted lentils. So when you cook this, you don't have to cook it much or too long, because everything here is already cooked, right? So you're just cooking it in the oven to bind it together. You don't want to overcook it and dry it out. All right. Okay. I'm going to add to this. I'm going to add the flax last because I don't want it to get start to gel up in one area. I want it to evenly spread. So what I'm gonna do here is try to mix this up. Make sure everything is evenly mixed in here. All these big items, all this is like protein, very protein rich between the lentils, the rice, and the walnut. This is a very high protein dish, right? And then we're gonna balance it off with vegetables to help break it down. Okay, so it's well mixed up here. All right, so I like to saute my celery and my onion in water before, not oil, and you can saute it in water. Is that strange to anybody here? Sauteing in water, have you done it before?
Yes.
Beautiful. So you can do sauteing water just as you do oil, the same thing. You may have to keep adding a little water at a time as you go along, but you just want to saute it until the onions look very like very translucent, so to speak, because it will give your loaf a very when you bite into it, it will be very smooth and moist, and you're not biting into something chunky and hard. All right. So you would saute. I was going to saute for you, but I don't think we have time, so I'll just put them in there. Okay. Since I'm the one eating it. Put it in there. Put your red peppers in there. And I said I added the beets. The beets will give it some nice color. If the beets can come out, that'll be great.
You don't need any more.
Right?
What did they do to my thing?
A little salt.
Was the beet shredded or cut up?
I grated it.
Oh, grated.
Grated it, yeah.
All right.
So that it will spread evenly because I don't want to taste chunky beets in there. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to, did I miss anything? Okay. Now I want to add a little moisture in here from tomatoes, which will give it flavor. So I'm going to take my tomato over here, like a medium-sized tomato, can you see? Right, and I'm going to just blend it smooth in there. This is, take off the middle here. Take off the middle here.
Question.
Go ahead.
Did you cook the beets or are they raw?
The beet is raw, but when you put everything in the oven, it will cook.
Yeah, thanks.
And it's grated very thin, so it will cook very fast. Yeah. All right, I don't like this tomato, doesn't look good there. Okay, so I'm just gonna cut this up. And I think I have a few more tomatoes in here. Gonna add it in here. So you just need like a medium-sized tomato. This is just to add depth of flavor to the dish. And I'm gonna add in here some more sage because I like sage. Sage gives it that meaty taste that a lot of meat eaters like. And we add more sage. And we're gonna add some cilantro, like a handful. If you don't like cilantro, you don't have to add it. And I'm gonna toss in here 1 or 2 cloves of garlic. It's up to you, depending on the flavor you're looking for. All right, I'm just gonna blend this up. You can blend it smooth or you can keep it chunky. So I don't need it to be very smooth. So it smells so nice. I love the aroma of cilantro. And it just smells just amazing. Not because I'm making it, but it just smells amazing. Okay, so I just pour my tomato paste in here. That would give it some nice rich flavor, some moisture so the loaf doesn't dry out on you. Okay. All right. All righty. So now get gloves. Let me get some clean gloves because I've been touching everything. Get some, if you don't need gloves, if you're cooking it for yourself and you're okay with your hands, but just in case I have to give the neighbor a slice. Oh my goodness, my hands grew open right here. Okay, so now I'm going to just combine everything. And I'm mixing and I'm squeezing and I'm making sure, oops, I don't want to lose anything. It's all good stuff here. And I'm mixing in and I'm mixing up here. And squeezing it up here. So I haven't used oils, right? God has given us such natural, healthy fats. And I'm not saying there are some times when you can use oils like therapeutically. Maybe someone just doesn't get it. They don't know the good reason why you shouldn't use oil. You can probably use a healthy oil, so-called healthy oil. But anyways, you don't need an oil to put oils in here, or saute anything with oil. You have enough fat in here. So, all right, so it's combined. So now I want to put my binder in here. So I want to sprinkle it over the loaf because I don't want it to clump up in any area. So, and you just start combining it. Now I have some extra spices here. I would taste my loaf and see if it needs more flavor. And then I can add those extra spices in there. All right. We are going over time. All right, I'm just gonna do.
Did you grind the flax seed yourself or did you purchase it already grounded?
I grind it myself.
Okay.
It's better to grind it yourself because if you buy it already ground, it could be oxidized and be a free radical and cause damage to your cells. I'm gonna add all these extra seasonings that I have to just bring up the flavor a little bit more. And I'm gonna add a few drops of my liquid smoke because I want a little bit more smoky flavor to come out in the loaf. And then I'm really gonna work it in there.
Which brand of liquid smoke are you using?
This one here, I don't even think you get it in the store. It's called Hickory Liquid this is from one of my raw foods suppliers. You wouldn't get this in the store, but you can look it up. Can you take a picture of it? I don't see the brand name on here. The guy is called Raw Food World. That's who I bought it from. It says Larry Kettle brand. LAEYKETTLEBRAND.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So you'll start to see the beets taking color. It started like kind of look pinky because the beets starting to spread in here. I want it to kind of look a little smoother, so I'm just gonna work it in a little bit. And that's okay, it'll still be chunky. So you see, I'm working it in because I want to make sure it's mixed very well. So I'm squeezing it as well as mixing it to make sure it's very good. All right. All right, so now we're gonna put it in a pan. I have a Dutch oven, so I'm gonna put mine using my Dutch oven. Put it on the side so you can see me pull out the Dutch oven. Okay. Okay. So I have a Dutch oven. I lined it with foil, and I don't really use foil, but just because I want more stability when I take the loaf out. And then I line over the foil attachment paper. Okay. So at this point, you might want to preheat your oven at 350. And then I'm just going to dump this loaf thing in here. Kind of form it up into a loaf. Don't worry, we'll make it look pretty. So now that's in there, I'm going to use my hand to form it into a loaf. So I can show it to you while I do it. So form it into a loaf. I'm going to get a camera for overhead so that you guys can see. I'm just going to use this to give it more structure. All right. So once you're done with that, the oven's heating and all that, you'll pop it in the oven for about 10 to 20 minutes, depending on your oven, how hot it gets. With the loaf, with this pan, it may be a little longer because this is a Dutch oven pan. It may need to be, the heat probably needs to penetrate a little bit. All right, so this is the loaf, see it? So you cover it and you pop it in the oven. If you have, if you're doing it in a baking pan, you can foil it over, put it in there for 10 to 20 minutes. Then you take it out and then you baste it with some barbecue sauce. And then you put it back in there uncovered for like about 30 minutes, depending on how hot your oven is. And then you'll know that it's baked. Now, once it comes out, it would be very soft, but just let it cool completely and it would take form. So I'm going to pop it in the oven. And then 15 minutes afterwards, the loaf comes out. And here is a beautiful, oops, let me bring it closer. Let's know. Not as big as the one that we just had, but you get the idea. And we'll just garnish it now. We'll plate it for the dinner guests. Pretend this is kale, but it's a soft buttery lettuce. Okay. So let's not, hopefully we don't break it. Okay. We throw some tomatoes around here. We also have some. Oops. And then we have some leftover sweet potato pieces that we just garnish it here. And then you can slice it. So should I slice it? Should I slice it? Let me see. I'm gonna slice the end. So could you see how moist it is? You see it?
Yes, it looks really good.
Yeah. And then once it's done, you can put some more barbecue sauce over it. You can paint this over with more barbecue sauce. And you can enjoy it. And this recipe is versatile. You can make the meatballs, you can make a burgers with it. It's a really nice recipe. And you guys are the first to have it because I just made it up this weekend. So there you go. That's your loaf.
What do you put in your barbecue sauce?
Well, I don't have a special recipe, but what I did was I got the scraps from the recipe, like the tomatoes, the peppers, onions, whatever was in there, and I blended it all together. I added a date and some smoked paprika, some salt, garlic, and barbecue sauce. Tastes good. That was it. But I know you guys have a special recipe out there. But I did add the smoke flavor in there, and I add some sage. So
And then in this recipe, I noticed you use raw sage as well as the ground
right,
sage.
yes, the dried one, when I cooked it cooked the lentils, I used the powder sage. And then
The printed recipe didn't specify, but when you're doing the blend, you're using the raw sage.
yeah, because the fresh sage gives it a very nice, it's stronger than the dried one. So that's why I like to use it. I like the fresh sage. But I know some people don't have fresh sage all the time. So you can use the dry one. All right, the last recipe of the afternoon would be the citrus cran loaf. And this recipe is interesting. You can either make it a dessert or you can make it savory. I mean, you can make it what you want. So for this recipe, you would need your freshly squeezed orange juice. You need zest, and because I'm gonna use a whole orange, I just peeled the thing off of it. I peeled the skin of the orange off rather than zest it, using that zester, it would take me all day. So I just peel the skin very thinly and I put it there because I'm gonna blend it into a liquid. And so it didn't make sense to stand there and try to zest the orange. So I just peeled the skin off. So you're gonna have the zest here. All right, the recipe that you have says very ripe bananas. You have to get very ripe bananas, otherwise it's not gonna be sweet. However, it's very hard to find nice, ripe, soft bananas in the US. I guess you can do it yourself, maybe, I don't know. But what I had in my fridge, I was in Trinidad and I brought back this huge bag of ripe plantains. So the plantains are very sweet. So I substitute my bananas for ripe plantains. They're very sweet. So I like that substitute. And you can use a little bit of healthy, this is your new place. I have a dry sweetener. You can use dry date, ground, I guess it's dry dates powder. You can use what was this other thing I have in there? Any type of healthy dry sweetener, or you could omit it. If you don't want it that sweet, you could omit it. And just a pinch of salt to bring out the sweet flavors. And then for the dry mixture, you need chickpea flour. So this is gluten-free as well. And you have your flaxseed to bind. And then we have a little bit of the energy baking powder. If you don't know what energy baking powder is, this is the brand. And this is very good for people who have kidney issues because it doesn't have the sodium and the other things that the other baking powder has. And they use calcium bicarbonate in here, or calcium carbonate. And the calcium that they use is from natural sources, as opposed to the regular baking powder, which is man-made. They use sodium bicarbonate, and that's a man-made ingredient. It's a little bit more pricey, but if you're gonna do baking and you want to do all this wonderful raising of your ingredients, then you can try that. And not that you're going to be eating baked goods every day, but it's a healthier alternative to the regular baking powder. Okay, and then you need your cranberries to fold into your mixture. Now, I soaked my cranberries in orange juice and a little bit of vanilla extract to to sort of mellow out the tartness of the cranberries, but you don't have to do that. If you love tart cranberries, go for it. You don't have to soak it. You can just use it as is. Alrighty. So for this recipe, we're gonna start making the liquid mixture first. So I'm going to move this and bring back my blender. So bring back the blender, and I have one more mug in the back here. Okay. Okay. All right, so we're gonna make the liquid mixture first, and then we're gonna add the dry ingredients, and then we'll combine it together. And this is your last recipe. So if you have any questions that didn't get answered before, you can start to get them together. Okay, so for the liquid mixture, we're just gonna add the plantains. Sorry. I'm just gonna add all my zest in here. I'm gonna add a little bit of a pinch of salt, nothing much. The salt, as I said, is just to bring out the sweetness in the recipe. A little bit of vanilla extract, non-alcoholic extract, and that dried sweetener. I was thinking about monk fruit. That's the one I was thinking about, monk fruit, which is diabetic friendly. Or stevia, if you like stevia. Any one of those. All right, so that's the orange juice in there. Oh, I still left some. Need all of it. Okay, and now let's blend it. All right, so you want to make sure it's smooth as possible and you can possibly get it, right? Because you don't want to be eating your loaf or your bread and tasting chunks of anything in there besides the cranberries. Okay, for the dry mixture, the chickpea flour, the flaxseed, and your baking powder. I also tried this with yeast. I didn't like the texture too much, but you can also try yeast if you want. And we'll just mix this up. This is half the recipe that you have on your screen. Oh, you know what I did as well? I added 1 extra teaspoon of baking powder. Now it depends on your texture. If you want it lighter, add 1 more teaspoon of the baking powder by Energy, because with the baking powder from Energy, you have to, if you're gonna use regular baking powder, right? You do half the measurement, right? Because this particular baking powder, the Energy baking powder, is not as strong as the regular baking powder. So you always double the recipe of the regular baking powder. Hope I didn't confuse you because I confused myself. But does that make sense? So for this so for this recipe here, if you want it to be more of a lighter texture, add 1 more teaspoon. I have 2 teaspoons on here. You can add 1 more teaspoon. If you like the heaviness of like a cornbread texture, you can leave the 2 teaspoons. But if you're going to use regular baking powder, because it's cheaper, the container is cheaper, use half of the recipe that I have here for regular baking powder, because regular baking powder is stronger than the Energy baking powder. All right. So make sure your dry ingredients is properly well mixed up and all that good stuff. And then pour in your liquid in here. Okay. Pour all your liquid in there. Okay. And then now you mix it up. Mix it up. Make sure it's all incorporated. It smells good. I think the zest with the orange juice gives us a nice flavor. All right. See the baking powder already acting up there. You don't want to over mix it. Just want to make sure I see no lumps in here. Nice and yellow. And it's high in protein because of the chickpea flour that we're using as well. So if you're thinking you're going to be protein deprived, the Lord has put protein in so many different foods. If we combine them well, we'll have really good bioavailable protein in our meals. And we don't have to be eating anything outside of the Genesis 129 diet to damage our cells. Okay, so now that I've mixed this very well, I'm going to carefully get the cranberries out of the juice that and put it in here. And at this point in time, you will put your ovens on and you would start to get your ovens heated up at 350. And
Very whole?
I'm sorry?
The cranberry, are they whole?
No, I sliced them because so that I can get the orange juice in there.
Okay.
If you want to put whole ones, you could, but it will be very tart when you if you like tart. I do have a few that got away from me that are whole in here too. But okay. Now I have a blend of lemon and orange. You can do all orange, you can do all lemon, depends on what you like. Recipes. Okay. Now we're just gonna fold this in gently. Oops. All right. And we're gonna put it in our baking pan. All right. So we're gonna grease the baking pan with a little bit of coconut oil. Or I guess you can use parchment paper if you want to. Okay. Just gonna put a little bit of coconut oil in here. Oops. There's water in the pan. Too much coconut oil, so we just grease it. And I don't know if you do this in America, but we usually just dust a little flour on here to make it easier for the thing to not stick. An easy way to take out. So this is my mama showed me this. So you just
Is that the chickpea flour or regular?
chickpea flour. So you're just like coating it over the oil. So when it's time to take it out, it wouldn't stick the pan. You can always use parchment paper and just kind of knock out the extra. If you're from the islands, I think you know about this. Okay.
Yes, we do.
You can put parchment paper if you don't want to get all that messy stuff going on. All right, so now we'll just take now that we've lined our pan, we just pour our loaf in here. And I should put my oven on. No, it's not on. And I am going to pour this in here. Oh, it looks good. All right. And I like to garnish, as you know. So I have some fresh cranberries here, and they were also soaked in the thing. And the orange juice there. Right, and I have some slivered almonds, I guess, they dried, roasted it or something. And then I just garnish it and I pop it in the oven to bake. All right, here it goes into the oven. And voila, it comes out baked and beautiful. Right, I baked this morning. It's very hot.
What was the temperature?
350. And that's my oven. You just need to know how if your oven like is really hot. But
How long?
around 350, 400 about there. And then, sorry, go ahead.
For how long?
I did about 30 minutes.
30 minutes, okay. Just around
And
there.
yeah, again, just you know, you may need to leave it longer. It all depends on your oven. Right. All right, so that was my last recipe, I think. Did I do all of them? Should I take this out of the pan? I'm afraid it'd break. Can I take it out? Eee! Disaster on national TV. It falls apart.
Let's see.
Let's see here. Ooh. Well, oh. All right.
Oh, beautiful.
Thank you. So now we need to slice it. Check it out. Let me move all this. All right, and then I'm gonna bring all the dishes I made back on the table so you guys could see what an awesome job you guys did today. Making all this wonderful holiday meal. All right, so where's my little knife that is not going to embarrass me today? Okay, I don't see my knife that wouldn't embarrass me today. Okay, we'll try a different thing. Try this way. I don't see my bread knife, so let's try cutting. Let's try this side here. Maybe I should just cut the middle. Let's cut the middle. I can put it back together. Very moist. See it? You see it? You guys see it? What's it? What was the question, Beverly?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay. So I'm just gonna bring out all the stuff we did today on the table. And then if you have any last minute questions, we can take a look at it. So you can definitely have a wonderful holiday, and you can add other things to the menu. You can add your salad. You can add you can add you can do green beans. You can add a lot of other things to the menu, to make it. I don't know what else you would add, but you sure can add a lot of other the menu. So we created that. We created the spaghetti squash. Oh, you're not seeing it out there, bring it in. So we created the soups. We created the soup. I wish I would see if I can do a camera over. We created the appetizer. I'm gonna move the camera in a minute so that you guys could see it, see everything. And we created this beautiful dessert. And I'm going to move the camera. So how many dishes? 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, and we forgot our digestive drink. That's amazing. All right, I'm gonna see if I can move the camera.
I think I'm looking at the loaf behind you.
Did I not take? Oh, I forgot.
Beautiful loaf behind you.
Oh, yeah. You don't forget the loaf, man. I'm glad someone is paying attention. This is a lot of food.
Yes.
Who's coming to eat with me? It's me alone. It's me at
I'll catch you the next plane out.
I wish I was close by Chef
Oh.
Natalie. I would certainly come and help you.
I know that's the biggest problem I have. Not everybody eats plant-based, and it's and I need people who enjoy plant-based food. Not I'm trying to eat it. So it's hard to find people.
Everything looks scrumptious.
Where are you located?
In Wilson, North Carolina.
Oh,
Yeah. Let's see here.
Chef Natalie, you mentioned the energy baking powder.
Yeah.
Do you use it in all your baking recipes, and do you find that aside from needing to double it, does it work just as well as all the other
Yeah,
baking
I
powder?
think so. And I don't do a lot of baking because I eat a little bit more raw, whatever. But when I do use it, I think it works very well. It's a great substitute for people who want to bake and stuff. A little pricey, but like when I have to do cakes for catering, I use it in my cakes for catering. And the
And
cakes
all
work
you
really
do is
well.
double it.
Yeah, I just double it.
And what you put in this recipe, the instructions is based on that particular one?
Yes, and as I said, it'd be a little heavier. If you leave 2, if you want lighter, like more spongy, you can add another teaspoon. I might play with it a little bit to see what works for you. Right? Let me see.
Move the camera.
You can see the camera. Let me see if I can bend it over a little bit more. Tip it over a little bit so you can. See? Can you see?
Yes.
Yes, that's yeah.
everything is so lovely and delicious.
And beautiful colors that God has given us. So much antioxidant, polyphenols, minerals, nutrients, vitamins. Oh, just amazing. That's the diet of Genesis 129.
Hey, baby, how are you?
Why not use the extra?
Become extra. Extra.
Right? And then we have our digestive enzymes in the juice to start your meal. And then you can end your dinner with a, well, I hope I can put the camera back. You can end your dinner with your meal with a nice dessert. Did I put it back properly? I hope I did.
How do we contact you?
So on the flyer, I do classes. I come to your home. I do dinner catering. Do you see? Do you have a copy of the recipe card?
I posted it. It
yet.
was posted in the chat.
Okay.
And we will put your number. You can put your number in the chat, Sister Natalie. Your website was posted on the WhatsApp group as well.
Let me see.
And if you want to donate to Sister Natalie, it's right there. Her Cash App is in the WhatsApp group as well.
I'm gonna put in the chat here. So you can contact me at 737. And I come to your church, I do classes up there, I do workshops, I do raw food classes. That's like my passion.
It's awesome. We can use you.
Praise the Lord. Okay, I think I put it in there. 7-3 to see it.
Yes, we're seeing it.
Okay, perfect. What did you say, Chef? Package and post? Where am I posting it to, Cheryl? And I come to Trinidad too. So all the Trinidad Caribbean people, I come to Trinidad and Caribbean.
The beautiful island of Barbados.
I come to Barbados, man. Just send for me. I come.
Oh, I will be glad. I will be glad.
And we could do 1-day retreats, like a 1-day retreat. They can eat their raw
Wow,
food, their plant-based.
nice.
I love that.
I
Yeah.
would love that too. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And,
I see someone asking if you have a cookbook.
you know what? Yesterday I was thinking I should really put my recipes in a cookbook. So I think that's my
should.
next project, to put them in a cookbook. Because you realize that we didn't use oils, we didn't use any sweeteners, and everything is healthy and tasty. The herbs help to make the food flavorful. The lemon and your parsley, your herbs really help to flavor the food. And you don't have to spend a ton of time in the kitchen. I guess I spent a little bit more time making it before, but if you can multitask your dishes, it should take you about 3 hours or 4 hours to get everything together. Maybe you can prep the day before, but I think you should be fine. And I do like the loaf in a flat pan like this one. I do like it in this type of pan instead. And that way you can cut them in small squares rather than slice. And I did make you do right? I made a goji berry jam and I forgot to bring it, but the goji berry jam will go on there as well, that you can enjoy. But if you have any questions about the recipe or something isn't coming up right,
Sister Natalie, oh my gosh. Woo, this is amazing.
oh, did you see the whole table? Did you just did you see the whole pan?
I was looking here and there, I'm eating and chewing gum, but listen, walking and chewing gum, but it's okay. I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna look at everything, but this is amazing, and we just want to thank you here at TOC for you taking all your time, all your energy, your resources, and guys, spread the news, share her link, share her website, share her number, because a lot of people are wanting to go plant-based, but they don't know how. You have to start somewhere, and this is a good place to start. You can share the YouTube link with people, say, here is a lady, see, this is what she does, and then they'll call you, Sister Natalie, and you can educate the world as to how to eat healthier with healthy substitute, especially during the holidays. We want to thank you so much.
Oh,
Thank you, Sister Rhonda. It's beautiful.
thank you, everyone. Thank you, TOC, for having me this Sunday. It was very exciting. Thank you, everyone, for participating. I wish I saw Trinidad and Tobago love you out there.
We want you to come back, though, at some point.